The greenhouse smelled like home, which was strange considering Owen Reeves was 43 light-years from Earth. He ran his fingers along a tomato vine, checking for aphids out of habit, even though the Sara didn't have aphids. It didn't have much of anything that made sense, actually. The planet was all wrong, beautiful in an alien way that made his chest ache with homesickness. Purple grass that sang in harmonic frequencies when the wind blew, trees with bark that rippled like water, and 3 moons that rose in succession, painting the sky in shades of amber, rose, and deep violet. But in here, surrounded by the sharp green scent of basil and the earthy comfort of real soil, Owen could pretend he was back in his dad's garden in Portland. At least for a few minutes. Phosphorus levels are still too high in bed 7, he muttered to himself, making a note on his tablet. Need to add more? The greenhouse door whispered open. Owen didn't turn around, assuming it was Marcus from the colony's engineering team coming to complain about water usage again. Listen, I told you already. Plants need water. Lots of it. You want tomatoes? Or you want me to let everything die so you can save 3% on recycling costs? Silence. Owen frowned and glanced over his shoulder. His tablet clattered to the ground. Standing in the doorway was the most stunning being he'd ever seen. She was tall, maybe 6 feet, with skin that shimmered like mother of pearl. Shifting through subtle gradients of lavender, silver, and pale blue, her hair floated around her shoulders as if she were underwater, each strand glowing with its own internal light. But it was her eyes that stopped his breath, large and completely black. Like pools of liquid night filled with distant stars, she was Kelvari, one of the native species that the colony had been carefully, diplomatically avoiding for the past 8 months. I apologize, she said. And her voice was like music, like someone had figured out how to make sound visible. I did not mean to startle you. Owen's mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. His brain had apparently decided to take a vacation. She stepped further into the greenhouse, her movements fluid and deliberate. She wore something that looked like fabric, but moved like liquid, draping across her form in shades of deep purple. You are the one they call the gardener. Yes. Owen Reeves. He bent to pick up his tablet, glad for an excuse to break eye contact before he started babbling. Sorry, we weren't expecting visitors. I mean, the colony has protocols about contact with the Kelvari. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to alert someone official when please don't. Her voice carried a note of urgency. I would prefer this visit remain private if possible. Owen straightened, clutching his tablet like a shield. Okay, sure. That's not alarming at all. A small smile curved her lips. You make humor when you are uncomfortable. I have observed this about your kind. You've been watching us. Watching you, she corrected, moving between the raised beds with obvious curiosity. She leaned close to a flowering pepper plant, her luminous hair brushing against the leaves. For many cycles now, your garden fascinates me. Owen's heart was doing something complicated in his chest. The garden, right? Not like me specifically. Those cosmic eyes turned to him again. I said what I meant, Owen Reeves. He'd crept up his neck. He was 42 years old, had been married and divorced, had lived through the collapse of the Pacific Northwest agricultural sector, and here he was blushing like a teenager because an alien woman said his name. Nessa, she said, extending her hand in what was clearly a studied imitation of human greeting. Daughter of High Matron Valara, keeper of the Eastern Crystal Forests. Owen stared at her hand. The Kelvari didn't shake hands. They communicated emotion through touch, through empathic resonance. Touching one was considered incredibly intimate. She was offering anyway. He took her hand. The moment their skin made contact, something warm and electric flooded through him. Not quite a feeling, not quite a thought, just a sense of her curiosity, loneliness, hope, and something that felt dangerously close to longing. Her eyes widened. She felt it too. You're surprised, he said softly. Yes, she didn't pull away. Humans are not supposed to have empathic sensitivity. Our xenobiologists were quite certain. Maybe your xenobiologists haven't spent enough time with gardeners. We're pretty good at reading living things. He reluctantly released her hand, already missing the warmth. So, daughter of a high matron, That sounds important. Nessa's expression shifted, something closing off behind her eyes. It is a burden I did not choose. Yeah, I know that feeling. Owen gestured to a bench he'd built from salvaged materials. Want to sit? Fair warning, I'm supposed to be working, so I might need to water some things while we talk, but I would like that very much. They sat, and for a moment neither spoke. The greenhouse hummed with life around them, the whisper of the irrigation system, the rustle of leaves in the controlled breeze, the distant thrum of the filtration units. Why did you come here? Owen finally asked. To the greenhouse, I mean. Why not make contact through official channels? Nessa was quiet for a long moment, her fingers tracing patterns on her knee. Because everyone wants me to be what they need me to be. My mother needs me to be the perfect daughter, exemplar of Kelvari grace. The council needs me to be a symbol of our people's superiority, and the males of my kind. She made a dismissive gesture. They need me to be a prize to be won, proof of their own worthiness. That sounds exhausting. It is. She turned to him, and there was something raw in her expression. But when I watched you here, alone with your plants, talking to them as though they were friends, laughing at your own mistakes, you were simply yourself. No performance. No pretense. Just genuine. Owen felt his throat tighten. Nessa, I'm nobody. Just a guy who's good with plants. You're literally alien royalty. Perhaps that is exactly why I am here. She reached out, hesitated, then gently touched his hand again. That warm resonance flowed between them, stronger this time. I've spent my entire life surrounded by those who want me for what I represent. You do not even know what I represent. You only know I exist, and that seems to be enough. It's more than enough, we said quietly. They sat in the greenhouse as the Ceres 3 moons began their nightly ascent, painting the sky beyond the transparent panels in shades of impossible beauty, and for the first time in longer than she could remember, Nessa felt something she'd almost forgotten. The simple, uncomplicated peace of being seen as herself. Outside, the purple grass sang its evening song. Inside, something new began to grow. The second time, Nessa came to the greenhouse. Owen was elbow-deep in soil, cursing at a stubborn root system. He'd been trying to transplant a section of Earth's wheat that had decided to go full rebellion mode, sending roots in every impossible direction except down. You know, said that musical voice behind him, on my world, we simply ask the plants to cooperate. Ah! Owen jumped, nearly overturning the entire planter. Jesus, how do you move so quietly? Nessa stood in the doorway, bathed in the soft glow of the Sara's morning light. Today her skin shimmered more silver than lavender, and she wore something simpler flowing garment that reminded Owen of mist. She looked amused. My apologies. Should I have announced myself more dramatically? Perhaps with trumpets? A simple hello would work. He wiped dirt on his pants, realizing too late that he was absolutely filthy. And wait, you ask plants to cooperate? That's actually a thing? For the Kelvari, yes. We share resonance with living things. She moved closer, kneeling beside him with effortless grace. May I? Owen gestured to the rebellious wheat. Be my guest. This guy's been giving me hell all morning. Nessa placed her hands on either side of the planter, her luminous hair falling forward like a curtain of starlight. She closed her eyes, and Owen felt the air around them shift, growing warmer, almost electric. The wheat's leaves trembled, then slowly, impossibly, the roots began to reorganize themselves, settling into a proper pattern. Okay, that's just showing off, Owen said. But he was grinning. Nessa opened her eyes, looking pleased. You could learn this. Your empathic sensitivity is stronger than you realize. Just talk to plants. They don't usually talk back. Perhaps you have not been listening correctly. She settled onto the ground beside him, completely unbothered by the dirt. Teach me about earth wheat. Why is it important to grow here? For the next hour, Owen forgot she was alien royalty. He forgot about protocols and diplomatic channels, and the fact that the colony director would probably have a stroke if she knew. A Kelvari princess was sitting on his greenhouse floor, covered in potting soil and laughing at his terrible jokes. So you're telling me, Nessa said, holding a wheat seed up to the light, that humans built entire civilizations around these tiny grains? Pretty much. Wheat, rice, corn, that's our whole deal. Agriculture made us who we are. Owen leaned back against a planter box. What about the Kelvari? What's your civilization built on? Harmony. Nessa's expression grew distant. We are taught from birth to maintain perfect resonance with each other. With our world, with the very frequency of existence itself, there is great beauty in it, but also, she trailed off. Also what? Also very little room for discord, for individuality, for wanting something different than what has always been. Owen studied her profile, the way the greenhouse light caught the opalescent undertones of her skin. Is that why you keep coming here? Because I'm different? Because you are yourself, she corrected. Without apology or pretense, she turned to face him, and the intensity in her dark eyes made his breath catch. Do you know what happened after I left here the first night? What? Torvin was waiting at my dwelling. He is considered the most accomplished male of my generation's scholar, warrior, singer of the ancient resonances. He had composed an entire harmonic suite in my honor. 17 movements, each one mathematically perfect, each one designed to showcase his mastery. Sounds impressive? It was technically flawless and emotionally hollow. Nessa picked up a handful of soil, letting it run through her fingers. He performed for 90 minutes. And all I could think about was how you argued with a water filter and called it a glorified bucket with attitude issues. Owen laughed. You heard that? I hear many things. Empathic resonance works differently than you might expect. She met his gaze. I heard your frustration. Yes, but also your determination. Your refusal to give up on something as simple as clean water. And I thought, here is someone who cares about the small things, the real things. Not grand gestures or perfect performances, Nessa. Owen hesitated, choosing his words carefully. I need to be honest with you. I'm nobody special. I'm a gardener because I flunked out of agricultural engineering, and I'm divorced because apparently I care more about tomatoes than I do about anniversary dinners. You've got literal princes or whatever composing symphonies for you? I can't even remember to clean under my fingernails most days. She reached out and took his dirt-stained hand in both of hers. The empathic resonance flowed between them, his uncertainty, her quiet certainty, both of their loneliness. Owen Reeves, she said softly. Those princes you mention, they do not see me. They see a prize, a status symbol, a way to elevate themselves. You see a person who enjoys watching you repot vegetables. There is no competition. Before Owen could respond, the greenhouse door burst open. A Kelvari male strode in, taller than Nessa, his skin a deep violet that pulsed with agitation. He wore elaborate ceremonial armor that looked like it was grown rather than forged. All flowing lines and crystal accents. Princess Nessa. His voice was deeper than Nessa's, but carried the same musical quality, currently discordant with anger. Your mother sent me to retrieve you. This behavior is unacceptable. Nessa stood gracefully, still holding Owen's hand. Hello, Torvin. I was not aware I required retrieving. Torvin's black eyes fixed on their joined hands, and the temperature in the greenhouse seemed to drop several degrees. You dishonor yourself, spending time with this human, in a place of dirt and common plants. Owen tried to pull his hand away, but Nessa held firm. He got to his feet, acutely aware that he was shorter than Torvin by a good 6 inches, and probably outweighed by pure muscle mass. Man, if this is a territorial thing, do not presume to speak to me. Human, Torvin's attention hadn't left Nessa. You are promised to me. Our bonding was arranged before either of us took our first breath. This distraction ends now. I am promised to no one, Nessa said, and there was steel in her voice. That arrangement was made by our mothers, not by me. I have never accepted it. Acceptance is not required. Tradition is not negotiable. Torvin took a step forward, his presence filling the space like a storm about to break. You will return with me now. Owen felt Nessa's hand tighten on his. Through their connection, he felt her warring emotions, duty against desire, tradition against choice, fear against defiance. She said no. Owen heard himself say, "So maybe you should leave." Torvin's laugh was harsh. "You truly believe you matter in this human. You are beneath notice. And curiosity she will tire of once she remembers her place."
Oh no. Her place?
Owen stepped forward, surprising himself with his own anger. "She's a person, not a trophy on your shelf. And for the record, the only thing beneath notice here is a guy who thinks he can own another person because mommy said so." The air crackled with energy. Torvin's skin began to glow, bright and dangerous, a threat display Owen had read about but never witnessed. The Kelvari could channel energy through their bodies, could literally burn with emotion. "You dare enough." Nessa's voice cut through the tension like a blade. She released Owen's hand and stepped between them, her own skin beginning to shimmer with light. "Torvin, you will leave now, or I will make you leave. And we both know I am the stronger resonance." For a long moment, Torvin stared at her. Then his gaze shifted to Owen, filled with such contempt that Owen actually took a step back. "This is not finished, princess. When you come to your senses you will be waiting, as I have always waited." He turned sharply, his armor chiming with the movement, and strode out of the greenhouse. The silence he left behind was deafening. Nessa's glow faded slowly, like a sunset in reverse. When she finally turned back to Owen, she looked exhausted. "I am sorry you had to witness that. Are you okay?" Owen reached for her, then hesitated. "Can I?" She stepped into his arms, and Owen held her, feeling the tremor in her frame that her composure had hidden. They stood like that for a long time, surrounded by the green growing things, while the Zara's purple grass sang softly beyond the greenhouse walls. "He is right about one thing," Nessa whispered against his shoulder. "This is not finished. My mother will not accept this. Torvin will not accept this. My people will not accept this." Owen pulled back just enough to see her face. "What about you? What do you accept?" Nessa looked up at him, and in her cosmic eyes he saw galaxies of possibility and fear and hope all spinning together. "I accept that I would rather have one honest moment with you than a lifetime of perfect, empty harmony with someone chosen for me." She touched his face, her fingers cool against his skin. "I accept that this may cost me everything." "Then we'd better make it worth it," Owen said, and kissed her. The moment their lips met, the greenhouse exploded with light. Every plant bloomed simultaneously, flowers erupting in impossible profusion, vines reaching toward them as if drawn by magnetic force. The empathic resonance between them amplified, reflecting and magnifying until Owen could feel everything: her joy, her fear, her absolute certainty that this, whatever this was, mattered more than tradition or duty or the carefully maintained harmony of her entire civilization. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, the greenhouse looked like something from a fairy tale. "Did we do that?" Owen asked, staring at a tomato plant that had just produced 3 months' worth of fruit in 30 seconds. Nessa laughed, bright and free. "I believe we did. We might have a problem. We definitely have a problem." She kissed him again, softer this time. "But I find I do not care." Outside, the Sara's 3 moons began their evening rise, and in a crystal palace, miles away, High Matron Valara felt the resonance of her daughter's defiance ripple across the empathic field of their entire people. The storm, it seemed, was only beginning.